First of all, Matteo, welcome to Tech Talk for Business Leaders. It's great that we could spend some time to talk about the recent announcements in Gen AI and what's been happening in the ecosystem.
Well, Sam, first of all, always a pleasure spending time with you. This notion of data citizen, of advanced data user, if you want, it's been around for a while, right? Typically, we thought about data citizens at the end of the data supply chain, on the consumption space, right? So we thought about an opportunity for data citizen to play a role when it comes to consumption of data, information, insights. Now with generative AI, the data citizen can perform tasks that were typically reserved to data engineers and to data scientists, right? There are tools such as Databricks with their intelligent data platform, Informatica with Claire, Microsoft with Fabric. They've really democratized those skills. So that's one thing. The other thing that we see the data citizen evolving is this nature of ownership, right? And so I would think organizations need to think about their data citizen not as data user, but data champions. And so this notion of empowering those data champions as the product owner of data products is where the space is going.
Now, that's a very interesting thing. You talked about what it means in terms of empowering a data citizen because integration using whatever the technologies, Fabric, etc., becomes easier, right? If I flip the script and talk about the business leaders in the organization, there's this massive urgency to have an organization move towards being more data-driven, fact-driven decision-making. There's this urgency around making this average employee a data citizen and empowering them to self-service capability. If I look at the lens from a business leader perspective, what should a business leader be thinking about? What should their expectation be in this journey as it unfolds?
I think it's very important. Because, obviously there is an opportunity where the access to data is prompted now, right? And you talked about this is great. We can interact with data with voice in ways that we could never before. Yeah. But quantity is not always quality, right? And I would think an organization that doesn't have a data North Star is in data chaos, right? And so I think the opportunity for a business leader is to work with your chief data officer, your chief AI officer, your data product owners to define that data North Star. And I think the underpinning of the data North Star is value. And so there is a great opportunity for a business leader to help define that path to value with data, right? And I think when a business leader can work closely with technologists and data practitioner, the integration of the business muscle and the technology muscle really drives value.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about this before with clients where you can't over-index on one. Like you can't say, let me get all my data ready and then we'll talk about business value. How do you play this dance where you're sort of getting your data ready, trustworthiness of data? I like the word trustworthiness versus trust, right? Trustworthy because it's more systemic, as you said. How do you deliver value while you're doing that? What kind of guidance do you have for our audience to think through that?
I think is a mindset shift, right? So I talked about this notion of product or data products. I think fundamentally when you think about data as a product, you will make a decision they are agile and you will make decision they are value driven. If you adopt the mindset in everything you do with data, you tend to drive solution that will create less tech debt, right? Because you're not building in the hope that usage will come. You build it when there is value to begin with, right? Yeah. So there is not a notion of waiting, right, and falling behind. You can still drive relatively fast if you have the product ownership mindset. The other key points I would think is this notion of guardrails, right? And we talked about trustworthiness. If you set the guardrail, you can move really fast, right? Certain organization thinks guardrails slow you down. We think is the opposite, right? If you define the right guardrails in terms of principle of, trusted data, trusted AI, then you can move very quickly as an organization.
And those guardrails, like you said, it might seem like an encumbrance, but it is actually one of the most critical principles of AI in general, not just Gen AI, right? Thank you very much for being here, Matteo. Always a pleasure to have you. And to our audience, if you don't get a chance, please subscribe to Tech Talk for Business Leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.